So this is the phase verification test of the AFG31052. Tektronix don't actually include this in their list of verification tests, so I'm kind of making this up on my own really. What I'm interested in is how well the channel 1 output and channel 2 outputs correspond towards one another. So I've got each of those outputs wired to the input of a Keysight counter. I've set these up so they are on 50 ohm input impedance, so I'm just using a straight coaxial cable between each channel, and then we have set this up for measurement of phase between channel 1 and channel 2. For the moment we will reset the AFG to, so we'll reset him to default, which is 1 megahertz 1 volt peak to peak, and we'll turn channel 1 and channel 2 on, and you can see we're running somewhere, it floats around a little bit, but it's about plus or minus 0.4, 0.5 there degrees, so a little bit of variation. Now if I swipe up on these channels, you'll see this gives me another menu. I've got some options here of how this can be set up. So we'll select phase channel 1 and channel 2 to match one another, and we'll set the frequency to match one another as well. And then what we'll do is we'll reset this to take him down to 100 kilohertz, and you can see this pretty much well maintains less than plus or minus half a degree really. We'll go back up to 1 megahertz, and so you see as the frequency is increased a little bit, the phase differential does increase as well, even though I've got the two channels locked together. What I can do when that happens is do a manual realignment and hit that, and you can see that it goes back down to the original kind of level within plus or minus half a degree. And what we'll do is we'll go up some frequency some more. As you see, as I increase the frequency, 5 megahertz now, you can see we've gone up to 3 degrees now. We go up to 10, up to 7 degrees now. Any point I can hit the line, and the higher I get, the more the alignment creeps out a little bit. So now the span is about plus or minus 1 at 10 megahertz. We'll go up some more, so that's 50 megahertz, and you can see it initially jumps up and it doesn't seem to be able to correct itself when you're changing the frequency. You have to continually go back in and do that manually. The best I've been able to get it is around about plus 5, sometimes 6 degrees within one another, so there is a little bit of misalignment between the two as you increase the frequency. So we'll go back to default setup. That turns everything off, that's 1 megahertz. Turn the channels back on. Again, we're back down in the milli-degrees for the alignment, and this time we'll lock the phases together, and I'll move up on the phase now, so this should match them both together. 10 degrees, and you can see pretty well aligned. Increased a little bit, not too bad. We'll go up to, let's go up to 60. So again, not much difference between the two. Let's go up to a full 180 degrees out. Yeah, it pretty much matches, less than half a degree really, as you're adjusting the phases on both of the outputs. So what we'll do now, we'll go back to default, and what I'm going to do is leave the phase off, and I'm just going to adjust one of them and see what happens. I'll turn them on first. Okay, so again we're down in the milli-degrees. So we'll go them up to 10 degrees again, and you can see the differential is there, 10 degrees, yeah, plus or minus half again. That's pretty good. We'll take them up to let's take them up to 60, and again pretty stable. Let's put it up to 180. Again, still within that plus or minus half a degree really. Okay, so what we'll try now is also the voltage. I've got a maximum of 5 volt input on this, so we'll be a little careful. Turn straight to 4, but you can see still pretty good. We can change these to higher voltage ranges, and we should be able to take him up to maximum 10. Bit of an increase while the change is in place, but still within that plus or minus half a degree. I think that's it now. Yeah, that's the highest it can go to on a 50 ohm. Yeah, so that's looking at the phase relationship between the two channels. Just appears to be a slight issue when you're changing the frequency. Other than that, they seem to track one another without any problems within plus or minus half a degree. And even with the frequency adjustment, you can just reset it manually within the control panel to bring it back into line. And I can imagine I haven't got into it yet, but I imagine you can actually change that if you're linked with a computer. Put a command in to automatically realign the output channels to one another.